Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast, a space for nurturing the ecosystem of business, body, and living. What would it be like if you gave your body a leadership role in your business and chose greater happiness every day? These are the conditions that create a healthy biome and a thriving business. I'm your host, Heather Nichols, and I'm so happy you're here. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. This week, we're going to talk about the biome. We're going to go straight to the root of things here, straight to the heart of things. And I'd like to talk about tending the biome. I use the analogy all the time of gardening and an ecosystem. It could be gardening, it could just be a wild ecosystem, and that's what the entrepreneurial biome is an ecosystem of business, body, and living. So to me, if maybe this may be your first time listening to this podcast, or you maybe haven't heard some of the episodes where I've talked more about the entrepreneurial biome. But to me, the biome is the health of my whole life, my whole living, my whole personal and conscious ecosystem. So it includes my body, my relationships, my family life, my health, and my business, my money flows, all those things, my home, how I travel, where I travel, like so many even more detailed kind of areas of life than like the big ones that we think about. And this week I had a really cool experience of playing with my home in such a way that made me want to do this podcast, actually, because it really showed me what was, it just showed me what the, how powerful it is it can be to tend to one aspect of the biome. And when you do, you tend to the whole thing. If you tend to an aspect of the biome that is actually asking to be addressed, asking to be cared for, asking to be tended to, it makes everything become greater and healthier and more thriving and all of that. And so with that, one of the things I did was I have been cleaning up my house this week, and not just cleaning my house, but actually like deep diving into like a massive purge, and literally going through every single thing in my house, like every drawer, every cabinet, every closet, every item of clothing, everything. I haven't finished it yet. But as I've been doing that, it's been really amazing to see what's been showing up in other areas of my life. And it actually all started with this beautiful green wall that I painted behind me. And it actually started with this podcast because I was looking for, I record in various places, and when I'm home, I record in various spots. But I was wanting a different scene for the podcast, just to mix it up. And I had been wanting to paint this wall for a long time. And I literally had all these blue splotches on it of color that I was trying to figure out what color I wanted to paint it. And literally they were there for a year and a half. I got some paint samples. I painted them on the wall thinking I was going to paint it really soon. And I didn't really like either one of them. And so I just knew those weren't the ones. And so, time passes by pretty darn fast these days. So fast forward, and, I'm looking at a year and a half later, I'm going, oh my gosh, I got to just paint the damn wall. And then I can use it as a backdrop. I can sit here and do, it's my dining room table, and I can do, podcasts and whatever, Zooms and stuff like that. So anyway, so I just kind of like I was like, I'm doing this, and I went and got some samples and found the color, and lo and behold, it's the same color as the biome. I mean, how epic is that? I love color coordination. wasn't trying on that one. That was just strictly following the energy. But I went and then I just, went to town painting one night and the next morning and got these 2 walls painted. And the funny thing is that set everything in motion. It was like, and I've been wanting to clean out my house for a very, very long time. Like I used to do it every 6 months or so, and I've been wanting to do it for, um, it's been a couple of years since I've done like a really deep clean out, and that's very rare for me to go that long without just always. I really like my space to be energetically very clean and clear, and very like just have a sense of openness, and like that everything that's here is something that I want to have in my space. And it's not really a feng shui thing, but because I don't know that much about feng shui, but I did actually get a degree. I kind of started my studies of the biome way back in 1989 when I went to college. I went to Cornell University, and I wanted to study interior design. I wasn't sure if I wanted to study interior design or fashion design. And so I went to Cornell has a college called the College of Human Ecology, which is the study of how people interact with their environment. And really cool, really unique school. And I'm super grateful for the education I got. It was really amazing. And I got to study the interaction of people with their built environments, like, and this was, nobody knew about feng shui at that point. I mean, it was a thing. It's been a thing for a very long time, but in the West, we didn't really know about it. But it's way more than that. So what I learned about designing, literally like architectural interior design, and creating spaces that fostered different experiences, basically creating hospitals to foster health and healing, creating like low-income housing communities to decrease crime and increase community. So I learned that there's all these things that you can do in the physical environment and create in the physical environment to affect the whole ecosystem, really, and to influence how people use the space, how the space actually nurtures people. And it was a really interesting thing for me to study. And the funny thing is by the time I finished my degree, I didn't want to do it anymore. So I went to graduate school and I got a master's degree in social work. But it's always been something to me, like I've always been very interested in a holistic way of looking at things, and a holistic perspective. And that's become more of a thing in the world lately. But it's just always made sense to me that, you can't take anything in isolation. So, my space has always been very important to me, and having, just beauty and clarity and cleanliness and organization in my space deeply nurtures me and my body and my business even, and my family. And sometimes it makes my family crazy because I really demand having a clean house, but they're used to it by now. And so I've done a lot of things over the years to foster that and to create that. And so it was like the wall was painted, and all of a sudden this wall was like the future of the house, and the whole rest of the house didn't match it. And I'm like, okay, got to paint the rest of the house. I fired myself from that job, by the way. I'm hiring somebody to do the rest of it. But got to paint the rest of the house. And now it's time, and this, just a little side note here. There's a real, I manipulate myself. I really know how to manipulate myself. So one of the things I did was, and I always do this when I need to do something that I don't want to do, I actually, I will hire somebody to help me with it. And so that's what I did, is I hired somebody this week to help me. And when she showed up, I really didn't want to start to dive into cleaning, say my office. We started with my office. I didn't want to start there. I didn't want to start anywhere. I didn't want to do it. but I had made an appointment with somebody, so I needed to do it. So that's just a little trick if you ever need to motivate yourself to do something, because she showed up and I was like, I don't want to do this, but she's here. So I'm going to need to get over that, and I'm going to need to do it. And I did. And then as soon as we started moving, the whole thing just, changed. But, and now I'm like on fire. I can't stop cleaning. But one of the things that it's really reminded me of, and I kind of knew this, but I was sort of overlooking it and also not really acknowledging it to this degree. That was part of my avoidance strategy, was that I know that when my house is really, really clean and organized and there's a real sense of peace in my space, it facilitates every other area of my life to grow and to thrive. And that's exactly what's been happening this week is my business is like just taking off in this really cool way. And I mean, even more so than it has before. And there's a lot of different aspects of things that I've been doing and adding and, contributing to the biome of all of it to, increase the thrival of all of it, of all the systems that are part of the ecosystem. So there's a lot of things that I've been doing in my business. And that's part of where I'm going with this conversation is with this tending the biome. You have to look at all the aspects of the ecosystem and see which one is asking for your attention in this moment. Because, we only have so many things that we can do in one moment. And certainly I'm the queen of doing a lot of things in one moment, as I think a lot of us are great at multitasking. And sometimes that's a real, treasure. And sometimes that's, where it takes us out of being present. So there's that, but to look and see, okay, so what is actually, what's the, what is asking for my attention right now? And that's a beautiful question from Access Consciousness that you can use every day to give you awareness of where to put your energy and your attention. Because when you do, one of the main aspects of creating business from a joy of business or with, Access Consciousness, sort of using those tools. I think the lid on my kombucha just exploded. I don't know if you heard that. It didn't want to stay on. It's alive. But one of the most fundamental things that you can do if you're truly wishing to create your life and tend your personal and professional biome from a place of the energetics of it and, really way more elegance and ease than ever before is to be asking questions. And when we ask questions, we don't ask ourselves, we don't look for an answer. We literally are just like asking the universe, talking to your business, talking to the business of your life and living and going, hey, what's required of me right now? And where is my attention required? Where can I put my attention and my energy to get the greatest yield right now? And so for a while, it was my business, like really directly. We brought on a bunch of interns and there was a real sense of like just engagement and dynamic action that I was taking and that my team was taking and still are in bringing interns in and getting them moving so that they can start to contribute in different ways that really expands the business based on what they contribute. And we don't even know what that is, which is beautiful. A story for another time. But also where we can, where we can just scale everything, and maximize everybody's brilliance really, and scale everything and with what we're creating. So that was a big area of focus for me. And it was like, I kept feeling like, okay, I need to take care of my house. My house is really calling me. And my body was kind of like, it was also showing up in my body because my body was sort of a little bit low energy. And I was kind of like in a little bit in like winter hibernation mode still. I'm recording this podcast in April. So we're kind of in the spring, spring cleaning is definitely happening. But it was a sense of like, I was kind of like tired of hibernating. And my body was like, excuse me, I need something different here, please, And so all of a sudden it was just like, no, it's time to just do some things here. And it's time to create some changes in the physical space. And as I've done that and I'm doing that, it's like my body is shifting and my body's getting happier and more energized and simultaneously there's also some cleansing going on. Like I had the awareness to do a cleanse. So I'm doing a little bit of a cleanse right now for my body to kind of go along with my house cleanse, I guess. And it's been amazing because as I just look at all these different aspects and be present with them every day, this is a big key, be present with them every day. My business is, I'm not doing as much in my business this week, let's say. But it's really just like expanding and growing and it's just the energy of it is just like, yeah, and in this really beautiful, relaxed way. And I love that. And this is really, I guess I would say the main sort of reason why I wanted to talk about this on the podcast is because there is a business aspect to this podcast, but it is about the business of your life and living. And there are moments where our business requires something different and it might not have anything outwardly to do with the business, So for me to clean my house expands my business, and it creates a different reality with my body. And my partner is very excited about what I'm doing. He's really grateful. So it's like contributed to our relationship, and we'll see, with my kids, like if it creates anything there, maybe not, but it's like, you just follow the kind of like the breadcrumbs of the universe as you're asking questions and going, okay, so what's, now what? Like today, what's required of me? Paint the wall. Okay, I'm going to paint the wall. Like it's been 1.5 years and it's time, Okay. And it came from, I'd like to have a different place to record videos and stuff like that. All right, well, let's do it. And here I am like a week later after I started, doing a podcast. But I didn't have a trajectory of where it was going. It was like, okay, I'm just going to paint the wall, and then I did. And I was like, oh, okay, now this is creating a whole tsunami. And then I texted the lady that was helping me with the house, and she just happened to have a week where she wasn't working as much because there was something going on with her other work. So she had some space and she was actually looking for some hours this week. So it was just like all these things kind of just like flow, and they occur when we follow the energy. And you follow the energy, you attend to something that seems like, it could seem like, well, I can't take many, many, many hours out of my week to do a major house clean. But yes, I can. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur and, creating your own schedule and all of that is, yes, I can. And it was like, I didn't have the point of view of like, my business needs me, my business needs me to fill in the blank. My business needs me to, be here, making sure things are happening, and I've been engaged. I have had a lot of meetings this week. I've been on all the meetings and doing what I need to do. But that's the beauty of also scaling everything is you also have people to help, there's lots of people that are doing what needs to be done, in different ways. And so it's not all on me either. And even with the house, it was like, I could get her going on things that didn't require me, and I could be doing things. Sometimes she was doing stuff with the house and I was doing business stuff, but all of these things contributing to each other. And it's amazing, like these things that we think are insignificant, we think are not, and I'm not saying they are significant, because that's a whole can of worms too, but that we think don't really matter. It's like, oh, I can just deal with that later. I really need to focus on growing my business right now. And the chaos of it all is that sometimes focusing on growing your business is really it. Well, I would say always. I mean, for me, this is how it works. This is how I've seen it work with so many people. And it's so much easier when you do it this way. Is the way that you focus on growing your business is by tending the biome, and being in the question of, okay, my business is not just the thing that I do for money. It includes everything. It includes my body, my health, my fitness, whatever you have going on with your body. It includes, nurturing and care for your body work, all those things. It includes my home. It includes my partnership. If you have a partner or a spouse or whatever, it includes family. It includes money. It includes, the earth, and so many different things. And going for a hike. I mean, I have this amazing mountain. I always point up there when I say hike, because that's where I hike. I live at the base of the Rocky Mountains in Colorado, which is amazing. So there's a beautiful trail right up there. So sometimes it's going for a hike that my business asks of me, and I go up and I'm in the woods and I get all kinds of downloads about things that I can be creating, new ideas, new classes, whatever it may be. And all of that is just done from an acknowledgement, like really not separating out the parts of my life. And I know, for me, when I used to kind of study and read different kind of holistic things, books and things like that, there's this kind of myth out there of balance. And the myth of balance is, it's a real destructive one, because if you have the point of view that you need to balance the different aspects of your life, then you are going to be, you're going to have to constantly be in computation of what that is, like, how do I get the balance, and balance is such a, I mean, if I look at balance from like a yogic point of view, if I'm balancing on one foot in a position, like a bowspring posture or a yoga posture, I'm balancing on one foot. That foot is, if I am balanced, there's so many teeny tiny little adjustments, and sometimes big ones, that I'm making in every moment to create this dynamic balance. Balance is not a static thing. But when we try to go into like having balance in our lives, what we do is we look at balance as a static. That's, most people look at it as a static, from a static point of view. And from there, it's like you try to find like the formula, or, and it takes you out of direct engagement with all the aspects of your own personal biome. It takes you out of direct presence with the ecosystem of your life and living. It takes you out of your unique ecosystem that, is going to be very different for each person, because there are different things that we have as priorities. And, there are things that are a huge priority for some people that I never do, and would never do. And so, everybody has their own very unique ecosystem, and you add to it in a way by being in the question of what's required of me today. What can I contribute to the business of my life and living today? You add to it by asking those questions and following the energy and choosing the things, painting the wall, cleaning out the refrigerator, whatever it may be that seems very mundane. But if the energy is pointing you in that direction, it's because that's where, if you put your attention there, it brings this energy into the whole rest of your ecosystem, of your biome, that allows everything else to flourish even more dynamically than before. And not to mention also just like the very obvious, which is for me, when my space is clean and organized, like there's a sense of like peace in my world that for me, I really care about that. Like I get very, I very like unpeaceful when there's a lot of disarray in my space. So I know that about myself, and that's something that I'm always aware of, and I continue to tend to. Even when my kids were really little, I still had ways of organizing my home so that I wasn't like stepping on toys all the time. And I didn't want to have a house where there were just toys everywhere. That was not nurturing to me. So there's a place for the toys where they, and they could play with them anywhere. But at the end of the day, they always went into the basement. The toys belong in the basement. But I was willing to be different in that way and be like, this isn't romper room. This is my home. This is our home. This isn't just the children's home. This is our home. And a sense of peace and space and spaciousness facilitates everybody in having more relaxation and ease. Sometimes we know those things, and we've got to sort of advocate for them, especially if you live with other people or, there's other people in whatever area of your life you're playing with. And as you do, you begin to, just have a different reality with all of it, and a different sense of space and a different sense of expansiveness of the biome. So, I hope this was a contribution to you. And, I could go on and on, but I'm not going to. This is kind of it's 26 minutes. It seems like I've been talking for like a long time. The episodes have been kind of short lately. But what is it that and it isn't about like, now you should go clean your house. It's like, what is it that what's like talking to you, whispering to you now, like speaking to you? That's just like, hey, psst, me, can you give me some attention? If you just turn your attention there and your energy there, all kinds of other things will fall into place and expand as a result of it. You never know ahead of time what's going to happen and how that's going to look. We never know. I had no idea. I sort of forgot how powerful it is to do what I'm doing in my home right now, because I just forgot. It had been a while, and I had been focusing on other things. And it's like, wow, what's opening up? Like the ripple effect is just huge, and it's just simply from following the energy and asking, where is my attention required today? What can I choose today? What can I do today? What can I, what activities can I engage with today that will expand my future dynamically? And if it means cleaning out your refrigerator, so be it. Do it, or maybe it means doing something different, but whatever it is, choose that and see what it creates, because it'll create something, and you can't know until you choose it. So thank you so much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next week with more. Bye for now. Thank you for joining me for the Entrepreneurial Biome podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. For more resources, check out my website at heathernichols.com and my social media channels as well. Have a beautiful day, and remember that your business thrives when you do.